Hey everyone, welcome. Today we're diving into the brilliant work of Gretchen Rubin. We're going to pull out some of her best, simplest secrets for living a happier life. Let's get right into it.
All right, let's just start with a question that I think hits home for pretty much everyone. Why does being an adult feel so complicated, right? It feels like we're constantly just trying to stay afloat, and real, genuine happiness, well, that can feel like this super complex, far-off thing.
But here's the thing. What if the answers aren't complicated? What if they're actually simple? That is the absolute core of Gretchen Rubin's whole approach. She believes the real key to figuring out this whole adulting thing is found in the power of simple truths. And she has a great name for them: secrets of adulthood. And the way she captures these secrets is really cool. She collects them as aphorisms. Now, what's an aphorism? It's basically just a short, punchy sentence that holds a much bigger truth inside it. A huge idea packed into just a few unforgettable words. Okay, here's a perfect example, and it's probably her most famous one. The days are long, but the years are short. I mean, come on, that just hits you, right? It perfectly nails that deep, universal feeling we all have about how time just seems to work. So what's the big takeaway here? All of these little secrets, all these powerful phrases, they all point back to one massive, foundational idea. Rubin says you can only, and I mean only, build a happy life if it's built on the foundation of who you actually are, your own nature, your own interests, your own values. It all comes back to self-knowledge.
Okay, great. Know yourself. Sounds simple enough, right? But that leads us to the real question. How do you actually do that? How can you genuinely get to know yourself on a deeper level?
And this is where things get really practical and super helpful. Rubin didn't just leave us hanging. To help us with that self-knowledge piece, she came up with this amazing framework called the Four Tendencies. And it's all about one very specific thing: how we each deal with expectations. The whole system is built on two kinds of expectations. Super simple. You got outer expectations, stuff like a deadline from your boss or a friend asking for a favor. And then you've got inner expectations, the promises you make to yourself, like I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week, or that New Year's resolution. So here's the whole framework in one shot. It's just a simple grid that shows how you react to those inner and outer expectations we just talked about. Your tendency, whether you're an upholder, a questioner, an obliger, or a rebel, it all depends on if you tend to meet those expectations or if you resist them. So let's dive into each one and see what they're all about. First up, we have the upholder. Think of that person you know who just does what they say they're going to do. They meet both outer and inner expectations without a problem. They keep their promises to others, and they stick to the goals they set for themselves. For them, their motto is "Discipline is my freedom." All right, next is the questioner. These folks will absolutely meet an expectation, but only if it makes sense to them. They have to understand the why behind everything. They essentially need to turn every outer expectation into an inner one by buying into the logic. Their motto sums it up perfectly: I'll comply if you convince me why. Then we have the obliger, and this is a big one. It's actually the most common tendency out there. Obligers are amazing at meeting commitments to other people. They're the person you can always count on. But, and this is a big but, they really, really struggle to meet the commitments they make to themselves. The key for them? Outer accountability. They need a workout buddy, a running club, a coach, something external to keep them on track. And last but definitely not least, we have the rebel. Rebels, well, they resist all expectations. Doesn't matter if it's coming from the outside or from themselves. What drives them is freedom, choice, their own identity. If you tell them to do something, they'll probably do the opposite. Heck, even if they tell themselves to do something, it can backfire. Their motto is just perfect: you can't make me, and neither can I. So, okay, you figure out your tendency, you have this new piece of self-knowledge. Now what? What do you do with it? Well, one of the most powerful things you can do is use it to avoid some of the most common traps we fall into, like the classic "I'll be happy when" trap. Yeah, this trap actually has a name. It's called the arrival fallacy. And it's this super common, totally false belief that true, lasting happiness is waiting for you just on the other side of some big milestone. I think we can all relate to that one, right? And you see this trap everywhere. It's that little story we tell ourselves over and over. Oh, I'll be happy when I get that promotion. I'll be happy when we finally buy a house. I'll be happy when I lose these last 15 pounds. We're always pushing our happiness off into the future,
putting it on hold until we cross some imaginary finish line. But here's the catch. It's called a fallacy for a reason. There's a ton of research out there, it's a field called hedonic forecasting, that shows we are just awful at predicting what will actually make us happy. We get the promotion, and yeah, it's great for a week, maybe a month, but then we just adapt. Our happiness level goes right back to where it started. And that's why knowing who you are is a much, much better guide to happiness than just chasing the next shiny thing. All right, let's pull all these threads together. We've got the simple truths, we've got the four tendencies. So how do we actually use this stuff to start finding our own secrets to a happier life?
It really comes down to a super simple 3-step process. First, you got to identify the real problem. Don't just say, I'm stressed. Dig deeper. What's actually going on? Second, and this is crucial, use what you know about your tendency. A solution that works for an obliger is going to be totally different from what works for a rebel, even for the exact same problem. And third, create your own rules. Start your own list of secrets of adulthood, the little truths that you discover work for you. And as you're making these decisions, I want to share one last bit of advice from Gretchen Rubin that I just absolutely love. Whenever you're at a crossroads and you're not sure what to do, just ask yourself this one question. Which choice helps me choose the bigger life? It's amazing how a simple question like that can cut through all the noise and give you clarity. And that really brings us to the whole point of this. The goal isn't to follow a bunch of rules someone else made up. It's to figure out your own. So I want to leave you with a question to think about. What is one simple truth that really truly guides your life?